Ariana, it's positively the worst humiliation we have ever been through. If Lance and the Elite Four had stormed in here and busted us out, I would have been furious. If some petty small-time gang decided to marshal all of its resources for a successful strike against us, I would have taken it as a slight upon my honor. But this, Ariana, what the devil could have prepared me for this? A child! I mean, what in Arceus' name am I to make of this? The most prestigious, notorious organization in all of Kanto brought to his knees at the hands of some pre-adolescent twerp. I am disgusted, revulsed, ashamed at our incompetence. I've been naive, underestimated the kid, and now look at him now, 4 badges and fully evolved Pokemon in his arsenal. Who knows, before we know it, he'll have earned the right to challenge Viridian Gym and will demand that his leader show up and accept his challenge. No, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But if it happens, we will have to be ready, Ariana.
You know, I'm always prepared for every eventuality, Giovanni. There are those of us you can count on to stand by your side until the end and beyond, if need be. Which, if
I don't even know what that is.
it would seem as if your favorite little grunt has graced us with his presence.
Random. So you've returned. I'll be frank and tell you that Fuji's antics are the least of my concerns at the moment, but let's hear what you have to report anyway. Quickly, you hear? What's that? There's more. Oh, could it be? Well, fine. You've piqued my interest. Take it from the start if you would. A Pallet Town native then, and licensed from Pokemon training by the chief trader himself. Well, that explains how the kid got a hold of that freak of a Charizard, at least. So Oak is looking for Fuji, is he? God, what is he planning? Does he know about us? This could be bad. This could be very bad indeed. I think, Random, I think it's about time you learned the truth. The things that happened in secret in that final year of the war. I never thought to tell it all to a mere grunt, but I believe you've proven yourself worthy of hearing it. And if you're going to work with me to set things straight, it's best you had it clean from me. I'm going to tell you everything. It was 11 years ago. Kanto's war effort was going badly. It was clear that we could not win by force alone. But we had something that Lance and his boys did not. Something we knew was the key to victory. The minds of the brightest scientists in the nation. Ever since the start of the war, Oak had been leading a number of secret initiatives to capture and harness the power of one Pokemon. One so rare most laymen thought it was just a legend. But legends don't win wars. Oak knew better. Once word got back that Dr. Fuji had last caught hold of Mew, we knew there was no chance the public could know. It was to be the region's best kept secret and our only chance of winning. But Mew could not be brandished like artillery on the battlefield the way Lance did his Johto dogs, and nor did Oak expect it could. By far the strongest Pokemon in existence, but contained in the body of the most benevolent and soft-hearted creature you could ever see. We couldn't make the thing knock out a Magikarp for sport, let alone ravage a crowd of enemy monsters in the field. So Oak decided on another solution. To harness Mew's powers, they would create from it a genetic clone conditioned from birth to be devoid of empathy and to possess an innate urge for battle. They called it the Mewtwo Project. At the time, I was the richest man in Kanto and a devout member of Oak's Elite Four. I wanted to do everything I could for Kanto, so I funded the project. An impressive team was assembled. Blaine, Fuji, Bill, and Professor Shigeki, Kanto's authority on genetic engineering. Each member was a genius in his own right and wasn't afraid to work day and night for months for a chance to save Kanto. But the project proved much more difficult than expected. Most test cases came out formless, half-dead pieces of flesh that did not resemble Mew in any way. One of these early failures was particularly nasty. Though equally as erratic and disgustingly shapeless as the others, this newborn monster had inherited Mew's strength. It broke free from its test tube and escaped the lab, killing several of the earlier specimens in its wake. This little incident became known as the catastrophe, and it scarred the scientists as well as it did me. I began to lose faith in my investment, and I think Oak was starting to feel the same way. Luckily, however, Dr. Fuji soon gave new hope to the project. Fuji suggested a way to contain Mew's power within a solid sentient body. By creating a clone that would combine Mew's DNA with that of a human, initial tests proved promising and the scientists agreed to each contribute a sample of their own DNA to be used for the Mew clone. Oak was the only one who refused to provide a DNA sample. His skepticism for the project had now risen to a peak. Ironically, however, Fuji's theory proved correct. Sooner than anyone could anticipate, the team had produced their definitive Mewtwo, a human-like, immensely powerful psychic Pokemon possessing the requisite cold, bloodthirsty mind and sapient intelligence. Before anyone could prepare it for the field, however, The Mewtwo project reached this natural conclusion. Devoid of empathy but disturbingly intelligent, the newborn clone could find no reason to fight for Kanto's cause. Why the war did not appeal to Mewtwo, we couldn't quite say, but it refused to be used as a military weapon. And when we insisted, it rebelled. With psychic powers we had no means to control, Mewtwo ruined the lab and escaped the scientists who had given it life. Driven, we believe, by a desire to find worthy Pokemon opponents, it sought refuge in the depths of a notoriously dangerous cave outside Cerulean City. As far as I know, that's where it still hides to this day. No capture expedition since, not by the government, by us, or any other party for that matter, has been successful. Soon after Mewtwo's escape, it was all over. Oak announced Kanto's surrender to Lance and Johto, ending the war. We had done our best to destroy all evidence of the project, but there was no hiding the team's involvement in some kind of military research. Fuji was the first to throw in the towel. The old coward openly pledged his allegiance to Lance, accepting any terms they gave him. Blaine and Bill were more reluctant, but they eventually followed suit. Now as to this Shigeki, nobody knows. The old guy has been missing ever since the end of the war. And me? Well, Lance stripped me of my Elite Four position right quick. And Oak, the bastard traitor, left me to fend for myself. As if I hadn't invested my heart and soul, let alone my personal fortune, to defend a home now taken over by foreign aggressors. I knew it wasn't right. I knew that Kanto, at large, had been cheated of a battle we could have won. And I vowed then that if Lance could not be taken down through legitimate means, then I would cripple him from the inside. I never looked back. So now you see, Random, why recent developments have me very concerned indeed.
Giovanni then asks Ariana to man the Viridian gym as it would be foolish to leave it unguarded with Red running around. Ariana agrees but says their son won't like it, but Giovanni reassures her that moving to Meridian would be good for him.
I have a new mission for you. Professor Oak despises everyone who worked on the Mewtwo project, which means if he's contacting Fuji after all these years, it can be good. I need you to head to Pallet Town and confront Oak to find out what he's been up to. While you're there, make sure to ask around the locals about this red kid. Any information or weakness we could find would be ideal. Before you leave, I have something to do, and that is to promote you to an admin. You have earned this promotion because of your various successes. Take this rocket pager with you. When it beeps, I expect all of my admins to return back to base. That is all.
This is amazing and... oh no, Ronnie, what do you want? He basically is super full of himself, thinking he's soon to be promoted, but worst of all, he decides to tag along on my mission. This is not gonna bode well. Bill calls me and finds out Red beat Team Rocket to a pulp and finds out that I know about the Mewtwo project, which means we are on the same page. I head to Professor Oak's lab in Pallet Town, but he's not there. When I exit the lab, I see Elite Four member Agatha fly in and she's surprised to see a rocket in the quiet Pallet Town. However, she doesn't stop me. In fact, she says we have much more in common. She invites me into her home with Daisy and says she's her granddaughter. Agatha and Oak used to be a tight-knit couple. They had a son who eventually married and gave them 2 grandchildren, Daisy and Blue. All was well until the war, when tragedy struck as both their son and daughter-in-law perished. Agatha despises him for that, says even if he died fighting, it would have still been an honorable one. She leaves me in the company of Daisy, but Ronnie shows up. Oh boy. He blurts out that we're here to potentially beat up Oak, which repulses Daisy, so she challenges me to a fight. I win, but Ronnie for no reason decides to attack a defenseless Daisy with his Raticate. Come on, man. A report back to HQ where it brings me immense satisfaction to say that Giovanni fiercely reprimanded Ronnie for his interference in my investigation and his sole involvement in getting the cops on their backs in Cerulean. Yes, get him, boss.